Hello and thanks for joining me today. This is Tricia Shadden at Tricia Stamps, and I am going to be working on a card project today. This beautiful birthday card using the Art in Bloom set. So just the other day I posted a planner page using this set, and after playing around with it in my planner, I had some ideas to put some cards together. So I'll walk you through the creation of this one. I am actually making a whole big batch of these. I donate a big group of them to my local hospital each month. So I've got some of these set up for mass production, but I will show you how to make just one off if you're interested. I think they turned out so pretty and fresh and springy, and I would love to get this birthday card. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm starting with a piece of basic white. And this is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I am just going to put this into my stamp positioning tool. And I'm going to use the largest floral outline stamp. And these three here are connected as one stamp. The coordinating die set will cut them out individually, but for today's card, I'm just stamping them in place. And I liked the arrangement as they were, so I left them as is. So as you can see, I've already set up my stamp over here on the lid of my stamp positioning tool. And I'm going to use Melon Mambo. I've got the old style pad here. This one's really old, but so I need to get a new one. But the color is still beautiful. I love how this stamps, and I'm going to be using the full strength for this outline, and then when I fill it in, I'll be able to use the second generation for a nice soft color. So I'm stamping or inking that up really good, and I'm going to close the door of my MISTI here and give that a good press. And that gives me a beautiful impression. All right, so as I mentioned, I am doing mass production to make a bunch of these at once. So I would go ahead and stamp all of those first layers of flowers on all of my white card panels. And then my next step would be to arrange the next two stamps in my stamp positioning tool. So I've got 2 leaves. I've got let's take a look. I've got this open leaf, easier to see in here, this open leaf detail that's a little larger, and then the little pair of 2 skinnier leaves. And again, I'm just using the outlines to get started. And if you look at the finished card, I've positioned one here and one down here and just lined them up next to my flowers. And I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz ink for that. Ink those up nicely. And go ahead and stamp them down. Oh, I didn't get a great inking on that one, but that's the beauty of these stamp positioning tools. You could use the Stamparatus for this, or any stamp positioning tool that you have. Okay, so I've got those lined up. And again, I will go through and do that with all of my card panels so that I have that step done for everything. Okay, once all of my panels are done with the second step, I took that same outline leaf image, and I'm going to go ahead and mount that on a block now. I took it off of my stamp positioner. I'm just going to put it on a block. For one more step, I think it's just as easy to go ahead and just do this one by hand. And I'm just adding one more leaf up in the corner there. So I would just go through and do this on all of my panels. Okay, the next step is to fill in these images with the solid second step of these stamps. So I'm going to use this larger leaf that is solid, and then the little pair of the 2 skinny leaves that are solid. And to fill in, I'm still using the Pear Pizzazz ink, which I'm going to ink up well. But then I'm going to stamp off once on my grid paper and then put it on my project They're really easy to line up. They're very forgiving because they're so artistic and they're not meant to line up perfectly anyway. So it has a really pretty look. And I love the slightly darker full strength outline and then the second generation filled in. So that looks really pretty. I've done my 2 larger leaves. Now I've got my little skinny pair of leaves. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm inking them in the Pear Pizzazz, stamping them off once, and then stamping them right over the outlines. Super easy. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for the flowers. I'm going to go back to the Melon Mambo ink. And my first flower, I'm going to turn my paper around. My first flower is this guy right here. So I'm going to ink up the solid stamp, stamp it off once on my grid sheet, and then these stamps do not line up perfectly. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but see how they don't go all the way to the edge? That's how they're designed. It's meant to be really kind of artistic looking. So that second generation stamp just gives a little color shadow behind there, but it's not a perfect silhouette. It doesn't match the outline exactly. And that's how it looks. That's how it's supposed to look. So the next stamp is this one here. It's a little flatter on one side. I'm going to go ahead and ink that with my Melon Mambo. Stamp it off once. Line it up on my project to fill that one in. So pretty. All right, my final stamp is this guy up here, which in the stamp set is this one. Same process. I'm going to ink this up with my Melon Mambo, stamp it off, and then go ahead and fill that one in. So my next step is to use these 3 little solid accent flowers. I've got those mounted up on a block here. And I just have a little ink cube of my Mango Melody ink. So I'm just going to use that. And this is how I originally had my flowers laid out, flipped up this way with the 2 larger leaves going up. So I'm just going to add a couple stamps of this. And it adds a little pop of accent color. Let's do one in between. And maybe one down here in the corner. And a little brightness. So I love how that looks. Okay, to bring in just a little bit more of that color, I'm going to use this stamp, which is one of my favorite stamps in the set. This one right here. And I'm going to use the Mango Melody again. I've got that mounted up on my block. I'm going to ink that up. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp that off. And then I'm going to just maybe, I don't know, a little more than 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that across. So that's where I'm going to put my sentiment, and it's just going to have a little grounding background spot for my sentiment. Okay, that's it for my stamping. I'm going to go ahead and trim this panel down 1/4 of an inch off the top and 1/4 of an inch off this side, just to bring it in a little bit so that I can put a mat behind it. Okay, for my sentiment, I'm just going to use a scrap of basic white. And I really wanted a birthday sentiment. That's what I need to make for these batches of cards. And there wasn't something in here that I felt was appropriate for the birthday. So I went to the Friendly Hello Celebration set. This is no longer available. It was available during Celebration as a $100 item. But I think you could just pick any sentiment that you like or that fits your occasion and go ahead and pop it on this card. I mean, it's appropriate for any occasion. So the one that I chose reads, "Hope you have the best birthday." I just wanted to stamp that in a softer neutral. I didn't want to go with the full strength black. So I'm just going to use Smoky Slate ink and ink that up. And stamp it on a scrap of the basic white. Okay, for this sentiment, I am pulling out the coordinating bloom dies that go with this stamp set. As I mentioned, there's a single die that you can line up with your stamped 3 large flowers and it will cut them out individually. And then you also have dies for the leaves and the little accent flowers, as well as a detail die for the leaf, and then this little ticket shape. And I'm going to use the ticket shape for my sentiment. The last element of this bundle that I wanted to just show you, I'm not using it on today's card, but I just think it's so beautiful. I can't wait to play with this. I haven't done it yet, but you've got this gorgeous embossing folder that embosses these 3 flowers and all the leaves around the perimeter. I'm wondering if you can see that. I'm going to move that so maybe you can see it better against the black. But it coordinates so that your die fits right in there as well. So it can cut out these embossed florals right out of the center of the embossing folder, and they could be popped up or used as separate elements. So that is a super cool feature, and that will be what I'm playing with on my next set of cards. But for today, I'm just sticking with the stamping because I have so many to do and I'm trying to keep it simple. So back to my sentiment. I want to go ahead and line this up so that it's centered, and I am just going to run this through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I'll be right back. So this is what I have when I'm done cutting that out. As I said, since I'm making so many of these, I'm trying to make the workload as mass production friendly, does that make sense, as possible. So this is the only element that I'm cutting out. All the rest of this can be stamped pretty quickly, and then all I have to do is pop this up and then assemble my card and put some finishing touches on. So it'll be easy to make a whole bundle of these. So let's go ahead and finish it off. To do that, I have a piece of the Smoky Slate cardstock, and that is cut to the A2 size. Remember, we trimmed this white one down a little bit, and that leaves me a beautiful little border of the Smoky Slate. So I'm just going to take my seal and run that along the back of my panel and center that in the middle of my card. And then I want to pop this up on dimensionals. So I'm going to just put a couple of dimensionals behind here. Whoop. And this is going to live right here, kind of overlapping that. I want to do this on a grid so I get it straight. Kind of have that overlapping that little stamped accent line that we put there. And then I am going to mount this on a top folding card. So I have my thick basic white, and this is cut to 4.5 by 11, and then I've just scored it right here in the middle at, or excuse me, 4.25 by 11, and I've scored it right here in the middle at 5.5. So I'm just gonna fold that over, hit it with my bone folder. And this card front, the panel is going to cover the entire card front so that there's no white showing. So I'm just going to put my seal on here. And line that up. Make sure I've got it the right way and my card is opening the right way. I have done that way too many times where I didn't line that up correctly. Okay, this is looking so beautiful. So just for my very finishing touch, the icing on the cake, I'm going to add a few of the iridescent rhinestones. So don't mind my packaging here. I had leftovers from all of my different embellishments, and I just wanted to consolidate them. So this is obviously not what the packaging looks like, but this strip down here are examples of the iridescent rhinestones. So I think I'm going to take, I'll do this middle size and use that in the center of these flowers just to add a little pop of bling. So pretty. And then just to give, oops, I got a little something on my card. There we go. Just to give a little tiny bit of definition to the inside of these Mango Melody flowers, I'm just using my Smoky Slate Stampin' Up marker and just putting a little dot in the center of them. And I mean, this is hardly, you could totally skip that step. It hardly makes a difference, but to me, it just sort of puts a little more definition into those. And that is my project for today. I hope you enjoyed that. Super simple. I have to bang out probably a dozen of these, which I've got everything set up in my stamp positioner, so it should be pretty easy to do. And the fact that these are so easy to align and don't have to be perfect will make it just go 1, 2, 3. If you're having fun watching my videos and you're getting inspired, you'd like to see more of them, please subscribe to the channel and click that bell so that you're notified when I post new videos. And of course, if you are interested in any of the products that I have used today, or if you're looking for a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, if you don't already have one, I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and help you with all your paper crafting needs. So check the description box below the video. I've got links to all the different products and to my online shop if you just want to browse, and would love to see you back soon. Thanks so much and have a terrific day.